Hi. Are you in toxic or abusive relationship? So today we'll talk about the quality of your relationship. We're gonna figure out what is going on, assessing your situation, and making sure that you are not in an abusive or toxic relationship. And finally, asking ourselves that dreaded and very scary question: should I stay or should I go? Hi, so it's Ella from joyfulnewlife.com. I help people discover the best version of themselves and a joyful life that begins with just a small step each day. A bit scary topic today, right? Are you in a toxic or abusive relationship? I'm saying scary because some people are scared to have it confirmed because they are scared what they should do about it. Or they are scared because they know that they are in a toxic or abusive relationship and they are scared. What should they do about it? So you see, either way, it's not as scary to know either you are in such a relationship or not, as it is, what are you going to do about it? And that is the scariest part. So, every relationship is unique. And every relationship faces its challenges. You might say, surely, but that couple holding hands in the park, they don't fight, right? Oh yes, they do. They fight about money. Okay, but that couple cheering their kids at each soccer game, they don't fight, right? Oh yes, they do. They actually fight about the in-laws involvement and sex, or not enough of sex. They're actually close to getting a divorce. All right then, but those people who are going on so many trips all the time and they're going out together for decades, they don't fight. Oh yes, they do. Yes, they do. They fight about who does more for and in their marriage. So there's no such a thing as a perfect relationship where everyone agrees with everything and no one gets upset about anything. That's not real. We all get into a marriage or relationship with high expectation for a strong, happy, and healthy life together. And then life gets in the way, right? Life happens to us. The day-to-day realities, the challenges, difficult circumstances burst our bubble. We think we know our partner better than they know themselves. We think they should actually read our mind. And we don't need to ask for what we need. We think that love is all that the two of us need to have a lasting relationship, and we put it on autopilot. These are all myths, people. They are simply not true. There are many more things needed for a strong, happy, and healthy relationship. But this is not the topic for today. It's a very common thing for couples to fight and make up times and times again. And it is very important to communicate about what went wrong and why. It is important to look for solutions and ways to make better decisions in the future. And most relationship problems are solvable. And there are others that are unsolvable but can be lived with once we digest it in a different episode. So couples fight. However, they make up. And one day comes that there's just no more ways to make up. One partner packs up his or her belongings or has them thrown out in some circumstances and just walks away. You will need to figure out, where are you standing in your relationship? Today, we are figuring out what is going on. We are assessing your situation and making sure that you are not in an abusive or toxic relationship. So let's do a short assessment of where you are standing in your relationship. Answer 3 simple questions. how do you feel in your intimate partnerships? 2, why you feel that, or what's causing it in your opinion? And 3, for how long has this been going on? Pause this video and do it right now. Again, question number 1, how you feel in your intimate partnership, why you feel that, and for how long. Pause it, write it down, or just truly think about it, and I will see you after the pause. So let's pause. All right, you answer your assessment? Great. So we can move on. Thinking about the questions that you have just answered, can you do something you haven't done yet to save your relationship from falling apart? What have you done already? And I'm not talking about trying to solve your marital problems by crying on your mother, sister, or friend's shoulder, or being pissed about it with your buddies. I'm talking about really trying to solve it. Not with people outside of your marriage, except for the professional counselor. What is the reason it is falling apart? In your opinion, you should already know it from your assessment, but does your partner know that this is the reason that it's falling apart? Have you constructively spoken with your partner about it? Did you try to solve it in civilized manner, solving one issue at a time, not just bringing up every nasty little thing to the plate and you can't seem to move forward? So, is it in your control to save it? Sometimes it's not. Maybe you need a good and knowledgeable marriage counselor. And no, I'm not talking about a family member, okay, or a priest, although some have experience and education needed to help with marital problems. And finally, is it wise for you to save it? There are times when it's best to end it for yours and your children's sake and safety. And this is what this video is about. There are some circumstances when it is actually dangerous for you to remain in a relationship. That is in case of any form of abuse. Abuse takes many faces. It just dresses up in many faces. It can be emotional, it can be psychological, physical, sexual, or possessive. There is danger to you if you put yourself in a vulnerable position of working on improving your relationship with a person that abuses you, because you could expose yourself to further harm. So do not approach to improve your relationship with such a person. But first of all, you need to know if you are in such a relationship, right? Because sometimes we don't know. We're in this dust cloud around us and we simply don't know. So, like I said, an abuse has many forms and show up in many ways. And I want you to answer truthfully to the following 7 questions. Just simply state true or false, okay? Question number 1, true or false for you? My partner used force during an argument. Pushing, slapping, beating, kicking, grabbing, throwing objects at you or in your direction, pinching, biting, choking, backing you to the corner, pinning you down, pulling your hair, holding you captive, breaking down a door to get to you, preventing you from eating or sleeping, forcing your car off the road, abandoning you in dangerous places, spitting at you, stalking you, keeping you from getting medical care when you need it, or withholding medication when you need it, using or threatening to use a weapon against you, driving at unsafe speeds to intimidate you, and refusing to help you when you are sick, injured, or pregnant. True or false? Any of those. And I want to also point out here, there is a huge difference between being physically abused by a person who is showing a physical aggression to control and dominate you and your self-defense, or something that is called reactive violence, which is a response to violence being committed against you. The result of reactive violence does not create a system of dominance or control in a relationship. It's called self-defense, even when you throw the first punch because you feel threatened and intimidated. So anyways, moving on to question number 2, true or false for you? My partner locked me out of the house on purpose. Question number 3, true or false? I feel pressured to do sexual behaviors that make me feel humiliated or frightened. Question number 4, true or false? I needed medical care after a fight with my partner, even if I didn't receive that care, but I needed it. Question number 5, true or false? I feel dread or doom when I know my partner is coming home. Question number 6, true or false? My partner uses profane language that degrades my character. And question number 7, my partner has threatened to hurt themselves if I ever were to leave. Sometimes people ask if one-time incident, for example, throwing an object once, is always considered a domestic violence. Well, you would need to take that incident and the relationship out of the context and look at other forms of controlling behavior. That will help you determine if this is something that could escalate. However, a one-time incident can be a warning sign that future abuse could occur. And in addition, a one-time incident may have the same effects of causing fear, limiting your behaviors, and long-term negative impact as continuing physical abuse. So, if you're not sure, contact a professional counselor or a domestic violence hotline. Their number is 1-800-799-7233 if you have question or concern about your safety. Or if you are in immediate danger, make sure you call 911. Do not play with it. Do not underestimate it. If you answer true to any of the both 7 questions that I have just asked you, you are in a physically abusive relationship. It is imperative for you to seek immediate help, seek shelter, seek protection for yourself and for your children. Do not wait until it's too late, because physical abuse escalates with time. I was shocked to discover how blind I was in my own relationship from my young days. I ignore signs because they seem trivial. At first he would punch a table I was sitting at during one argument. Then a while later, he would punch a wall near my face during one of the arguments, or like an armchair when I was laughing at the New Year's Eve party. A few years later, he would threaten to kill me. And a few years later, he would intimidate me by driving fast and in very dangerous manner, calling me bad names and throwing F-bombs in front of my frightened and crying child. And I begged him to pull over, to let us out of the car, let us stop fighting. But no, he was banging his fists against a dashboard or an armrest that was right between our seats, and finally approached me 1 inch from my nose in a closed car space, calling me bitch. And I slapped him first to stop him. I was so scared to death about my child and my own safety. And then when he slapped me back, I felt blood pooling in my mouth, and my cheekbone was hurting and my head was spinning. and I knew it was time to leave. And I did. I was scared to death to leave. But it was the best decision that I have made in my life and in my child's life. It's been a decade now. Maybe he would have never behaved that way with somebody else, or would not show such anger or aggression toward another person. It's totally possible. And he probably is not the same person today. In my perspective, he changed as a father from a scary, tyrannical person to a tender and loving dad, from a controlling and dominating husband to a co-parent. And I wish him all the best. I hope he is happy. I hope he's successful, full of prosperity and love in his life. And I have nothing to hold against him anymore. I have forgiven him fully long time ago. Actually, I don't even feel I have anything to forgive him for. He was one of my greatest teachers in my life of what I will not put up with. And I know how I deserve to be treated in life. And he taught me that. And I'm sure he felt guilty or ashamed for losing control. Or maybe he didn't. But it really doesn't matter. It was not my responsibility to reason with him without him receiving a professional help. There was a pattern of behavior that I was too blind and too scared to see at first. In my case, the physical abuse was just a tiny tip of an iceberg. I neglected an ongoing mental and emotional abuse that was going on for years. That I just didn't think it was alarming. But nonetheless, it was as scary and as destructive, both to me and my child. It took years to get over the fear. I needed to exit the relationship with my child staying with me. I needed to set boundaries, disengage from responding to further attempts to abuse me or scare me, and give myself time to heal by surrounding myself with loving and supporting family members and friends. I know it seems far-fetched to some of you, but I feel no wrong done to me at all. I see it all as a blessing in disguise, an important lesson for all of us involved. It made us all who we are today. And believe me, I didn't think that way even a few years ago. It was too painful to think about it. But the more and more of inner work and shadow work that I have done on myself, the better I understood the bigger picture. We'll get to it in another video. It's a big topic. So, physical abuse is not the only kind of abuse or toxic behavior. So, instead of giving you a dry data, I will illustrate forms of toxic behaviors in a short stories from my book, Stay in the Marriage or Let It Go. So these are true stories, although I have changed the names and merged stories to protect the identities of those whom I helped. With each story that I will read to you, see if you can recognize the similar pattern from your own intimate relationship. These are the red flags. All right, so let me read it to you. Open quotation. In the first story, I want to point out a toxic behavior of a partner who is very critical, very suspicious, possessive, controlling, and manipulative. Everyone around a victim can clearly see what is happening except for a victim. She makes excuses for her partner's behavior and believes that she doesn't deserve anyone better because she feels worthless. So here's the story. No matter what Ellie did, it was never right. Jonathan was stripping away her self-esteem. You should cut your hair. The dinner was so-so. Take some cooking classes. That dress makes you look... You always wear the same shoes. Don't ever call me in the morning. What's wrong with you? I showed you how to fold my laundry. You never do it right. Why are you wearing so much makeup? Why are you going out with your friends? I thought you would stay home with me. I don't like it. I don't like that. When it's dinner, I don't think like going out to buy, etc. Ellie's family and friends were concerned. They spoke with her on many occasions, but she felt it was none of their business. Instead of asking, why do you think that? She would make many excuses for his behavior. Ellie was inside a dust cloud and could not see clearly for herself. When she tried to ask Jonathan why he was criticizing her, he would tell her that she was too sensitive. He was only giving her constructive criticism, followed by how lucky she was that he put up with her shit, because no one else would. She kept waiting for Jonathan to stop and was hoping that he would accept her just the way she was. The next story described a stalker, a toxic partner who needs to feel in total control of every move, every person, and every aspect of his victim's life. He has trust and jealousy issues. He cuts every person from his partner's life, so she will have no support outside of her relationship with him. Yvonne was rushing out the door. I won't be long. My sister needs advice. Her husband never believed her and asked a lot of questions. He would check their bank accounts to see if she really went to a coffee shop and how much she spent. Yvonne could swear she saw his car pulling out of a coffee shop parking lot just when she was saying goodbye to her sister. Yvonne's sister was the only friend left because her husband would isolate her, bad-mouthing everyone in Yvonne's life, being jealous of everything she did without him, and making her feel guilty about even thinking of doing something alone. He would constantly monitor and question her whereabouts and intentions. He was very competitive with her and would be very unhappy if she was recognized for anything, even at her own work. This was making her physically drained and tired all the time. In this story, I want to point out a dangerous relationship with an aggressive and passive-aggressive person, a physical, mental, and emotional abuser, a person who doesn't take ownership of his bad behavior, blaming it on anyone and anything other than self. Caroline walked on eggshells in her marriage. She barely recognized the person she became. Adam would not tolerate anything that didn't seem to fit in with his vision for their life. She learned how to dance to his tune. If she made a wrong move, he would raise hell. He would slap her or push her against the wall, or punch a table she would sit at. The fights were terrible, and they would escalate with each moment, making matters worse for days or even weeks. Caroline would want to talk to Adam, but he would refuse to discuss the issue. He would even walk out of the house yelling, "Just think about the bad things you did." She never knew where she was at because he would remain silent for long periods of time. And when he decided that the cooling off time was over, he would blame everyone for his short temper, for the way he acted, for the problems he had. Nothing was ever his fault. In the following story, you will find red flags of either your partner having an affair or not loving you anymore. Noah checked out from his marriage. Eve could feel the lack of affection. She felt she was doing all the work in their marriage and family, and he was just absent. He didn't notice her new hairstyle or the pretty dress she wore. He played with his phone and didn't seem interested in their conversations. Eve suspected that he was cheating on her when she caught him a few times being vague, secretive, and ending fun conversation abruptly when she walked into the room. She had a hard time trusting him, and when she tried to talk to him, he would be either defensive or accuse her of having an affair. Ev would start raising her voice and felt terrible in his company. It seemed to her that he had, let me just switch the page, a completely different goal for his future and their family. Only when she would start pulling away, Noah would notice her. She felt he played some sort of game with her. In the next story, I want to point out some codependent behavior of a person who deals with a partner who is addicted to or abuses alcohol, drugs, or other dangerous addictions, and is in denial that the addiction is destroying the family life. Sarah called Eric to make sure he was on his way to their child's school play. He didn't answer, but texted her that he forgot. She noticed that he rarely remembered the family schedule and acted surprised when she confronted him about it. She found empty liquor bottles and other weird substances in the garage, workshop, or behind his laundry bin. She would call his work to say that he was sick today when he woke up still drunk and unable to drive a car. She would hide all the alcohol in the house, hoping he would not drink. She would help him into the shower when he was unable to do it himself. She would wash his clothes that he vomited on so the kids would not see or smell it. In this last story, I want to point out a very dangerous relationship with the narcissistic person. The narcissistic behaviors vary from much milder than the example below to extremely pathological and can be displayed by seemingly introverted to extroverted manipulator. See if it resonates. You can find traits of a narcissist in work of Dan Matthew, a certified psychosocial rehabilitation practitioner. Keep in mind that the below behavior applies to both genders, although it is more common for males to develop these traits. Tom made everything about himself. He had a listening disorder. Everything was about him, and he steered conversation in his direction consistently. He interrupted and changed the subjects to talk about himself. He got angry when his girlfriend Lisa was trying to assert her opinion. Sometimes he would nod and say "uh-huh" and "yeah" to feign listening to her. Tom did not want to discuss his emotions because he did not want to be put in a position where he could feel vulnerable and have a weaker power over his girlfriend. When Tom did bring up his emotion, it was disingenuous because his only goal was to appear to get closer to her. He wanted to dominate, lead, and control Lisa. He would charm and flatter her. And if that didn't work, he would use her empathy and pity. He wore expensive and flashy clothing and had an organized and neat appearance. Lisa did not want to play any sport or game with him because Tom was too competitive. When Lisa told him not to do something, he would do the opposite, to the point of harassment, as if it was a game. He would run red lights at night, knowing he would not get caught. He didn't tip anyone and made fun of the less fortunate behind their backs. His relationship with Lisa was perfect and very satisfying for the first 4 months. Then Lisa noted a quick decline. There was no way to win any argument with Tom because he did not respond to logic. He was verbally aggressive and confrontational, used lots of profanity and sexually explicit language, and used exaggerated gestures. Lisa sensed that he was cheating on her to feed his needs for gratification, self-validation, and power over those that he exploited for sex. He was delusional and even asserted that he was connected with a celebrity or a known politician, and he was suited to rule the world. Tom had found a person whom he worshipped. His idol represented perfection in Tom's eyes, and he wanted to emulate that person. After you read these short stories, can you find the red flags in each? What is worse, can you find those same behavior in your partner? Of course, your story will be different than any of those stories since everyone is different. Just pay attention to the traits to determine if you may be in a toxic relationship. Close quotation. So, the above psychological abuse involves a person attempts to frighten, control, or isolate you. It's in the abuser words and action, as well as the persistence in these behaviors, that creates them abusers. The abuser could be your spouse or other romantic partner. It could also be your business partner, your parent, or your caretaker. And no matter who it is, you don't deserve it. And it's not your fault that it's happening. So, I'm just hoping that in those stories you picked up on the red flags of humiliation, of negation of a person, and criticizing tactics that are meant to undermine your self-esteem. I hope you picked up on name calling, like stupid, a loser, or the words that are too awful to say here. Or you picked up on maybe derogatory pet names, my chubby pumpkin, my, worthless dependent. Maybe you are noticing character, something that I call character assassination. A person that uses such thing like, you're always late, you are always wrong, you are always screwing up, you are always disagreeable. Basically, you're not the nice person in the abuser's mind. Another behavior is yelling, screaming, swearing. They are meant to intimidate and make you feel small and just not important. That can be accompanied by fist pounding on things or throwing things towards you, not necessarily at you. Another behavior is patronizing. Such behaviors like, oh, sweetie, I know you try, but this is just beyond your understanding. Or like public embarrassments, picking up fights with you in public, or talking about your shortcomings or your secrets in public. Being dismissive. You tell them about something that is very important to you and they just say nothing. They don't care. Or joking. I just joked, honey. You don't know. It's just a joke. Or sarcasm, you've been teased, and when you tell to stop, they say that you take everything so seriously. Or it could be insult of your appearance. Your hair is ugly, or you look like clown with this outfit. It could be belittling your accomplishment. So your abuser might tell you that your achievements mean nothing. Oh, it's nothing, come on. Or they may even claim responsibilities for your own success, that it's because of you, because of them that you have succeeded. The behavior could be put downs of your interests. So they might tell you that your hobby is childish waste of time, or you're out of your league when you play some sports. Really, it's rather that you do not participate in any activity without them. Or it's a behavior like pushing your buttons. Once the abuser knows what annoys you, they will bring it up every single chance that they get. I hope you picked up on the red flags of control games and shaming. That includes threats. It could be example like they will threat you threat to take your kids away from you or disappear. Or they will say, there's no telling what I might do if you do this, right? They could monitor your whereabouts, just like in one of the story. They want to know where you are at all the time, insist that you respond to calls and texts immediately. And they even show up to see if you are where you are supposed to be. There is something called also digital spying. So they might check your internet history, your emails, your texts, your call logs. They may even demand your passwords to check up on you. Well, sometimes there is a base for it. When a person feels cheated, there is this instinct happening. So the person might start snooping, but not all the time. Digital spying is like constant checking up on you. Another behavior is unilateral decision making. So they may close a joint account that they have together with you, or they may cancel your doctor's appointment, or speak with your boss without asking you, buy a house, car, or other major purchases without consulting with you first. Another behavior is the financial control. They might keep bank accounts in their name only, or make you ask for money, or you may be expected to account for every single penny that you spend. Another behavior could be lecturing, pointing out the error with such a long monologue to make it clear that they think that they are above you and you're beneath them. Another behavior could be direct orders like, get my dinner on the table now, I'm hungry, or stop taking those pills, but your doctor says that you should, right? They expect you to follow their orders despite your plans to the contrary. Another behavior is outbursts. They just, they have this red face and they're so angry about anything and everything. They just screaming at you from the top of their lungs. They might be treating you like a child, tell you what to wear, what kind of food and how much to eat, or what friends you can see. They can pretend to be helpless. There are cases, abusing cases like that, where they may say that they don't know how to do something because they want you to do it for them. They want to take advantage of it. There's also unpredictability, of course. They can explode with rage out of nowhere and suddenly shower you with affection, and then come dark and moody again at the drop of the hat, and you just keep walking on eggshells. They may walk out. In a social situation, they may stomp out of the room and leave you hanging there with the bags. And at home, that's their tool of keeping the problem unresolved. And they can use others. I call it use others. They can say, everybody thinks you're crazy, or they all saying you're wrong. Who is all of them? Who is everybody, right? So I also hope that you have picked up on red flags of accusing, blaming, and denial that comes from an abuser's insecurities. They want to create this hierarchy, and in this hierarchy, they want to be on the top and you're on the bottom. And of course, this shows up in various ways. It could be jealousy. They accuse you of flirting, cheating on them. It could be in turning the tables. They say that you caused the rage and control issues and being such a pain in the neck, not them. Or you say something, are you cheating on me? And they would turn the table and say, why you say that? Are you cheating on me? You know what I'm saying? They can also deny something that you know it's true. An abuser will deny that an argument or event took place even, okay? It's called gaslighting. It means to make you question your own memory and sanity. They're using guilt. They might say things like, you owe me this. Look at all that I've done for you and our family, okay? They are doing it in an attempt to get their way. They are goading and then blaming. Abusers know how to upset you, but once the trouble starts, it's your fault for creating it, or that's how they are trying to make it appear. They are denying their abuse. When you complain about their attacks, abusers will deny it, and they seemingly are bewildered at the very thought of it. They're accusing you of abuse. They say you are the one who has anger and control issues, and they are those helpless victims. They might be making things trivial. When you want to talk about hurt feelings, they accuse you of overreacting and making mountains out of molehills. They might be saying you have no sense of humor. Abusers make personal jokes about you, and if you object, they tell you to lighten up. Come on, you don't know it's a joke. They might be blaming you for their problems, or whatever is wrong in their life. It's your fault. You're not supportive enough, didn't do enough, or you stuck your nose where it didn't belong. And they're destroying and denying. They might crack your cell phone screen, for example, or lose your car keys and then deny that they have done it. They cannot just say that, yeah, honey, I did it. I hope you picked up on the red flags of emotional neglect and isolation, where abusers tend to place their own emotional needs ahead of yours. And many abusers will try to come between you and the people who are supportive of you to make you more dependent on them. And they do it by various ways, such as demanding respect, but it's only one-way street, or shutting down communications. They will literally ignore your attempt at conversation in person, by text, or by phone. Or they will go dehumanizing you. They will look away when you are talking, or they stare at something else when they speak to you. And they keep you from socializing. If you have plans to go out, they will come up with distraction, or sometimes they will beg you not to go. They will try to come between you and your family. They will tell family members that you don't want to see them, or make excuses when they can't attend family function, or why they can't attend family function. They will withhold affection. They won't touch you, and not even hold your hands or pat you on the shoulder. They may refuse sexual relation to punish you and get you to do something that they want you to. They may be tuning you out. They will wave you off. They will change subject, or just plain ignore what you want to talk about. They are actively working to turn others against you. They will tell your coworkers, your friends, even your own family members that you are unstable and prone to hysterics. They will call you needy. You know, when you really are down and you're reaching out to someone else for support, they will tell you that you're too needy, and the world will not stop turning just to help you with your little problem. They're interrupting you. They're on the phone, or you're texting to someone, and they literally get in your face and let you know that your attention should be on them. That's a form of abuse. They may be indifferent. You know, when they see you cry or they see you hurt, they do nothing. They're just indifferent. And and they are disputing your feelings. Whatever you feel, they will say you are wrong to feel that way, or that it's not really what you feel at all. They will dismiss it completely. And I also hope you picked up on red flags of codependence. Codependent relationship is when everything you do is in reaction to your abuser's behavior. And they need it. They need it just as much to boost their own self-esteem. You've forgotten how to be any other way. It's just a vicious cycle of unhealthy behavior. You might be codependent if you are unhappy in your relationship, but you fear alternative. You fear of leaving. You consistently neglect your own needs for the sake of theirs. You ditch friends and sideline your family to please your partner. You frequently seek out your partner's approval. You critique yourself through your abuser's eyes, ignoring your own instincts. You will make lots of sacrifices to please the other person, but it's not reciprocated. You would rather live in the current state of chaos than be alone. You bite your tongue and repress your feelings to keep the peace. You will feel responsible and take the blame for something they did. You will defend your abuser when others point out what's happening. You will try to rescue them from themselves, like in the story where the woman was hiding the alcohol, hoping that he won't drink anymore. Or you will feel guilty when you stand up for yourself. You think you deserve this treatment, and you believe that nobody else would ever want to be with you. And you change your behavior in response to guilt. Your abusers say, like, I can't live without you. And then you decide to stay. So that's all of the codependent behavior. So, golden question, what to do? I have come upon an article in Healthline written by Anne Pietrangelo, and it was medically reviewed by Timothy Legg. He is a PhD and certified relationship specialist. And in this article, I have learned what to do in a situation that you discover that you are being abused in any ways, or if you are in toxic relationship. First of all, if you're being emotionally or mentally abused, you need to trust your instincts. Excuse me. Know that it isn't right, and you don't have to live with this. You don't have to live that way. My instinct at first kept screaming at me, and I ignored it. And then it became a whisper I could hardly hear, but I ignored it. And then that inner voice became completely silent for years, for many years. So don't do it to yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust your instinct. If you fear an immediate physical violence is upon you, get the phone and dial 911 or some other local emergency services. Do not be alone in it. If you are not in the immediate danger and you need to talk to someone or find some place to go, call the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. Their number is 800-799-7233. It's a 24/7 hotline that could put you in touch with service providers and shelters across the entire United States. And otherwise, your choice really comes down to the specifics of your own situation. So here is what you can do. You need to accept that the abuse or toxic behavior with your intimate partner are not your responsibility. Don't try to reason with the abuser. I know that you may want to help, but it's unlikely that they will break that pattern of behavior without professional counseling. That's their responsibility, not yours. Another step is you have to disengage and set personal boundaries. You need to decide that you will not respond to abuse and get sucked into arguments. Stick to it. Limit your exposure to the abuser as much as you possibly can. You need to exit the relationship or circumstances. If possible, cut all ties. Make it clear that it's over and don't look back. You might also want to find a therapist who can show you a healthy way to move forward, because believe me, you will need that. And give yourself time to heal. Reach out to your family, reach out to supportive friends. If you are in school, talk to a teacher or a guidance counselor. But just find a therapist or a coach who can help you in your recovery. Living relationship is more complex, of course, if you're married, if you have children, or if you have assets together. In that situation, the advice is to seek legal assistance. Check out my website at joyfulnewlife.com for more information and get the link to my book. Should I stay or should I go? It all depends, really. Majority of marital problems are solvable. There are, of course, unsolvable problems, which we will discuss in a different video, but you can still enjoy a happy, healthy, and strong relationship. Be aware of the examples from this video that point to you the abusive and toxic relationship. There are always exceptions to the rules, of course, and no two couples are the same. The decision belongs to you and only you. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you are not in a toxic or abusive relationship, and if you are, I hope I have helped you clarify some things that you already knew deeply inside that existed. And I know that you know what to do next. Just take a small step forward and do it at your own pace and at your own comfort level. This is Ella from joyfulnewlife.com. You can find the link in the description of this video, and I will see you soon. Bye.